Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Oh man, you like that? Hello, hello, hello. I sound like I'm drunk. Anyway, welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Happy Monday to you. Gosh almighty. It seems like it was just Wednesday last week. Last week went by alarmingly fast. I don't know why, but I just could not keep up. Anyway, I'm glad you're all here. Thank you so much. Um, and I am good to go. I'm ready to go. All right. Let's see who's here, and then we'll get started. Okay, so working my way from the very beginning, Fatima Owen, thank you so much for being here. Fancy, fancy. Georgia Walker, Connie Balmer. Hi, Connie Balmer. Fancy, fancy. Let's see, Lydia Washington, Mary H, Cecilia Nelson, or I'm sorry, Acelia Nelson, Olivia Harris, and let me see here. Um, Brenda Gray, Sonia Dandridge, and Cancun Dreamer, Veronica Quick, Francilia Mosley, if I haven't said that already. And who else is here? Noreen Bengali. Hi, Marcy Foreman. Okay. Manello. And who else is here? Wanda Valentine. Okay. Clara Codore. Leola Brown. Hi, Leola Brown. Okay, let me bring up my slides so we can get down. We can get down with the get down. Let me see here. Um, Slept really good last night, but what's really bad is I kind of feel like I could sleep again. I don't know why I've been sleeping so much. I don't suppose I'm late, am I? Of course, if I was late, then we'd all be rich. Me for being late, you all for telling the story about how you suspected I was late. I don't know. It just seems like good sleeping weather. I know that sounds like old folks. Good sleeping weather. Uh, okay, there's a name I don't recognize. Mars 5004. Okay, Elaine Parker is here. And Kanuna Reina, hi. Okay, so there we go. Now, for some reason, the obsession with Meghan continues, and there's a new twist on that obsession, I'm afraid. And that new twist, someone in Twitter suspects that Royal Sussex may have been a part of that new twist. Some of you can probably figure that out without me even saying otherwise, but yeah, somehow Royal Sussex has way more power than they give Royal Sus. Well, than I think they should give Royal Sussex credit for. I mean, this okay. There's 30,000 subscribers, and on average, a video may get up to 20,000, 17,000 views. That's respectfully good, right? But um, there may be a possibility that there are other people listening outside of my demographic group, or maybe within the group, but just not exactly the people that I would expect are listening. And wouldn't that be interesting? Well, we already know that Thomas Markle is a big fan. We all know what a big fan, I'm sorry, Thomas Markle Jr. Wait a minute. You know what? Maybe it's both Thomas Markle Sr. and Jr.? I didn't think about that. Oh my God. I think they're both watching. And I'm going to tell you why, too. I'm going to tell you why. Let me get this set up. And I think that there is good evidence that they are both watching, both Thomas Markle Sr. and Jr. Oh my goodness. Now, if I wanted to, I know what to look for. Okay. For a second there, I forgot how I labeled that video. Yes. Okay. Here's the evidence. Here's the evidence.
Thomas, I wanted to ask you about these vile individuals who refer to themselves as the Sussex Squad.
So I come to my dad's house and start going through it, and I look on YouTube, and my God, I see the Sussex Squad and the Royal Sussex page on YouTube and the things they post, and that's where I found that disgusting video making fun of my father just because he's going to the Jubilee. I mean, and if you look on the Royal Sussex page on YouTube, you're going to see exactly whose it is. It's definitely Meghan Markle. And if it's not her personally, she's definitely paying somebody to do it.
Oh, thank you, B10. Yeah, so I don't want to speculate what going through it means, but so he goes over to his father's house, right? And he says that the Royal Sussex was already there on the computer. So not only has he seen Royal Sussex, but apparently his father, the stunt double for Otis the Wino, his father was obviously watching it too. So I'm like, wow, I got both of the Markles, well, both of the Thomas Markle Sr. and Jr. watching Royal Sussex. Who else could be watching it? I don't know. But apparently, I'm just going to guess if they're watching one of these Sussex friendly channels, they're probably watching all of the Sussex friendly channels. Okay, so let me go on. Exclusive. Meghan thinks he's up there with President Obama. Duchess tells friends Prince Harry is a shoo-in for a Grammy nod thanks to his soothing voice and rendition of Elton John's Your Song on the audiobook Spare. Well, okay. So I saw this on Twitter and someone said, "What friends? They got that from Royal Sussex." Woo! Okay, so I did mention a couple times. Don't be surprised if Harry is nominated for a Grammy, but it has nothing to do with me. There is a precedence about people receiving Grammys for their popular books. Now, every year, somebody is going to win a Grammy for the spoken word. How come Harry wouldn't be just as eligible or qualified just as much as anybody else? It's not because of what I say, it's because of the fact that that's just the way it is. But it was so funny to me because I'm looking at this, and I told you guys I'm not that good at following threads on the Twitter, but I noticed the hashtag. One of the hashtags was for Royal Sussex, and the person on Twitter just flat out said They didn't get that from a friend. No, they're making that up. They got that from Royal Sussex. um, but still, there are people in the industry, that's in that industry, in the music and industry. Now, if you guys aren't sure what this is referring to, let me give you a little more information. If you take a look here, um, when the Clintons left the White House, she wrote a book, and the book was very popular. She had this big book tour, and there was all kind of love and affection. Now, after the 2016 election, some of you all may have a little amnesia and forget how popular Hillary Clinton was. But Hillary Clinton was one of the most popular first ladies since Eleanor Roosevelt. And because of that, she commanded, quite an audience every place she would go. I mean, she was golden. Now, once, the Republicans and, the right wing media, the Murdoch machine, and everybody put the whammy on her, well, then, of course, she seemed almost like a different person. But I'm going to tell you guys, I am a huge supporter of Hillary Clinton. And I'm going to tell you also that every year for about, I don't know if it's about 20 years, she was the most admired woman in America. So, if not the world, but take a look at some of those old polls, if you will, and you'll find that she ranked up there. I think she even tied with Michelle Obama for a couple years. So, she's outranked the Queen in the past. So if that's any indication of her popularity. And when the book came out, she went on a book tour, and she was magnificent, and she won a Grammy. And of course, Bill Clinton, who has a gift for gab, I think he has 2 Grammy awards. Jesse Jackson has been nominated twice, but won one time, and that was, I believe, for the Aretha Franklin album, One Lord, One Faith, One Baptism. Well, there was a speech within one of the songs, and he was nominated and he won. And then, of course, a very beloved president, Jimmy Carter, has also won. So it's not what Royal Sussex says, it's just the way it is. And so over time, there's been a lot of damage done to the reputations of everyone on that screen. No thanks, of course, to I'm just being sarcastic, because of the right wing media machine, but they have damaged the many a reputation. But you can't take away from the fact that everyone that's there on the screen right now has inspired people in one way or the other, myself included. And so, as you guys know, I'm not the light touch you think I am, but I don't dwell on the worst of anyone, um, because I just don't think it's healthy. So, but yeah, there you go. And so there's no reason to believe that Harry, if not this time or the next time, would somehow qualify and possibly win a Grammy Award. And then, of course, there was the thing mentioned in the article about in the past that they wanted him to present at the Oscars. Well, I don't know if that's even possible because I don't know that Harry has a Screen Actors Guild card. I think to do the presentation, you would have to have done some type of acting. Now, of course, Meghan, I'm sure she has a SAG card, but I don't know that Harry has one. And I'm sure if they really wanted him, that would happen. But this is all just a bunch of nonsense. The Sussexes are not red carpet people. They do red carpets on occasion, but they don't just run to every red carpet and every Hollywood party. Those are things, little tropes designed to create hostility toward the Sussexes. Nothing could be further from the truth. They're not clout chasing. They know people just because they know people, because they have gotten to know people over time. And of course, as hard as it is for some people that tend to have hate in their hearts to believe that Meghan may have possibly have made some alliances and connections over the years with people before and after her career. I mean, she was a kid in Hollywood, so of course she knows people. And over time, her skill as a letter writer and among other things, she has kept in touch with people. And so um, you never should let your opponent um, determine or declare your personality or your your positions, because if you do, then they win. And so you have to push back against that, or at least maintain a dignified existence, and people will see your value and worth. So Shay says they are doing the most desperate act to shame the Sussexes. Funny how immature these British rota tabloid media and the so-called royal experts who are always one-sided. Yeah, and if you have ever glanced at that god awful rag, the tabloid, they don't even have a tab for the I still call them the Cambridges. They don't even have a tab for them. They have a tab for Harry, Meghan, Charles. I don't think they have one for Camilla. I mean, Camilla is too helpful, so she doesn't have a tab. But the people that they like to vilify the most, of course, they have their own tab. It's incredible. Oh, and there was one for the Queen, and it wasn't always there, but I think before or just after she died, they inserted a tab for the Queen so that you can just click on to the latest. I so desperately wish that some media outlet or even someone else will do a documentary. They had one years ago called Outfoxed about the Fox News, and I actually went to the theater to see it. I believe it was called Outfoxed, where they demonstrated exactly how their variety of so-called journalism works. And if there was something like that, not necessarily just about the Sussexes, but if someone would take that institution and the tabloid media to task about the way they have conducted themselves over the years, as far back as Princess Diana, which seems to be where the worst of their behavior comes from, I would say that would probably um, get a lot of notice. And you don't have to do a lot of footwork. You just need to just like with the Princess Diana in her own voice documentary, well, the one that was made from all the archival footage that was available. Even if you do something like that and just layer the story on top of it, it wouldn't be so difficult. I mean, it would be a monumental task to get access to all of those things in a way that you could share it publicly. But there's a story there, and everyone is afraid to talk about it. And I think the American media, they it's like the code of silence, or the thin blue line, that code for law enforcement. They just don't want to go up against their own kind, even if it's called for, unless it's something that's so terrible and that has somehow exceeded the boundaries of what the typical story would allow. Then you can go after someone like a movie producer, or I'm not even sure what the guy that did away with himself in jail. I'm not even sure what he did for a living, except he had the island, and he seemed to couldn't keep his hands away from younger people. But I'm trying to avoid being dinged by the algorithm. But yeah, so I don't even know what that person did for a living, but at some point, when even the biggest of people are vulnerable to having exposure. So if there was ever something like that, the docuseries from the Sussexes, it had a lot to cover, and there was a lot of things that they had to avoid because of pending litigation. Sorry about that. And other things that are going on, like, for instance, Harry's book was coming out. So, as you know, they took as soft an approach as possible while managing to tell us part of the story. And it left us hungry for more. And of course, you always could say, well, maybe they should have talked about this one or this thing or that thing. But there's so much to unpack there. And the burden should not fall on Harry and Meghan's shoulders alone. There's got to be a much bigger, I guess, hero to come to fore. I mean, even Oprah can only go so far. So, um, it's going to take something big. Either the institution and the media are going to have an epic fall from grace, and that will start defeating frenzy, or it's going to take an unexpected source, like maybe one of the American media giants, to just go after them, but they seem to be afraid to do it. It'd be one billionaire or a group of billionaires taking on another, and they just are not going to do that because these so-called left wing and liberal news agencies, they are owned by the same fat cats that own everything else in this world. They are owned by one percenters, and they're not interested in losing money. It's all a perception game, and it's just like with the royal family. They go in, they do their charity and do their good deeds, but it's not value for money to pay an institution 350 million pounds a year to cut ribbons and such is not really a value. Um, and the same could be said about a lot of things that it seems to be like a bloated bureaucracy or some entitlement or honorable position where you're paying people to do little or nothing. It doesn't really take as much, but once it becomes an institution, it's hard to challenge them, and it's also equally as hard to get rid of them. So it's a long, drawn out thing that is going to take a long time. It's going to take years, but once these walls begin to tumble down, like for instance, the end of the monarchy, it seems like it's never going to happen until things really start to collapse, until people real and having the corruption, the amount of corruption that is happening within Whitehall, within number 10, and amongst other places that's going on, don't be surprised, because I think there's always going to have to be a government, right? There's always going to be that government. That's necessary. The royal family really doesn't serve a useful purpose for the amount of money that's being spent. And right now, people are well. Did you guys listen to James O'Brien today? James O'Brien had someone call in who lost his position. I think he worked for one of the council estates or something like that, but he lost his position because of a phone call to James O'Brien a year ago, or was it 6 months ago, where he exposed some things that got him in trouble. And first he was suspended, then he was put on review, and then he was terminated. And so he called in about the same thing and mentioning that the corruption continues, and that he doesn't regret sacrificing himself like that. He regrets making the sacrifice, and there's nothing that has changed. So it's going to take something like that that will spell the end of the monarchy as we know it. It's going to open up those houses for wedding venues, among other things. A 775 room palace in central London that serves what purpose? In case the royals want to do something any particular day of the week. That's insane. That is unsustainable. I felt that way when I was in London the last time, and I felt that way when I was in London the first time. As much as I enjoyed all of the pomp and circumstance, the voice inside of me said, "This is unsustainable. The math just does not bear out." Let's see here. Willie will be incandescent with rage. First, the speech at the UN, and now a Grammy. And he has 4 houses and 3 children, a fleet of helicopters, a fleet of Range Rovers, a fleet of private jets. Oh, he's got a lot of trappings of success. The only thing that's missing is someone who's actually worked for it. That's what's missing. He has all the toys, but he hasn't done the work. I mean, just think of the productivity that has come from William over the years. What has been so productive about William Mountbatten-Windsor that says he should have an 8 million pound helicopter at his disposal? When he uses said helicopter, where does he go and what does he do? Does he sign any big contracts? Does he negotiate any life changing deals that are going to bring wealth to the people of Britain? No, no, he's a figurehead. He's a figurehead. Let me see here. Church Nelly says Meghan's friends don't talk to the tabloids. Lord, do they ever stop lying? No, they don't. No, I'm the tabloid, Church Nelly. I'm the one that has been quoted. They, I said it like one time too many. I think maybe possibly 3 occasions, and I don't know how that has filtered down. Yeah, I don't suppose it was me, but on the odd chance that it came from Royal Sussex, it's not my voice that is going to make that decision. It's just the way these things go, and I've just given what 4 examples of high profile, well, 4 or 5 high profile people who have Grammy awards, and the reason why they have them for their very popular books that they've written, or whatever. So that's just the way it is. Has nothing to do with Royal Sussex. And of course, this idea that Meghan somehow has put in the words, or the reason why we don't see her is because she's behind the scenes, pulling the levers of power to somehow coerce people into giving Harry a Grammy Award. That's just not the case. Baron, so you are a royal insider for the Daily Mail. Apparently so. Apparently so. And so, somebody was probably at a parent's house, and while they were going through it, whatever that means, they saw Royal Sussex. And my God, oh, that was some terrible acting, wasn't it? And so I was going through it, and my God, I saw the Royal Sussex. I mean, that was some very bad acting. Let's see, where is it?
God, I see the Sussex squad and the Royal Sussex page on YouTube and the things they post, and that's where I found that disgusting video making fun of my father just because he's going to the Jubilee. I mean, and if you look on the Royal Sussex page on YouTube, you're going to see exactly whose it is. It's definitely Meghan Markle. And if it's not her personally, she's definitely paying somebody to do it.
Well, I'm going to need a raise. I'm going to need a raise. If they're paying somebody to do it, I need a raise. Baron, they want Meghan to be hated by her favorite, President Obama. What's up with these people? Surely they believe they're created heaven on earth. If you can't beat Meghan, join her. Exactly. If you can't beat her, join her. Just don't go to Montecito. I'll talk about that later, though. Bye bye, haters. Prince Harry spared, too complex for you to understand. Well, we know that already. But let me take a look at this one right here. They're doing the most desperate act to shame the Sussexes. Funny how immature these British rota tabloid media and the so called royal experts who are always one sided. Did I look at that one already? I think I did. Thank you, though. Let's see. And Fu says Hillary Clinton became my idol after she came out in absolute support of hero Harry and Princess Meghan. And Fu, she didn't hesitate. She didn't delay. She said, I'm not surprised. Queen or no queen, I'm not surprised. Isn't it amazing and how interesting it is when a well educated woman who has had a career, a life, a family, and such. Isn't it amazing how they can stand in front of the royals and show absolutely no deference and no awe to them? And that's what bothers people is that let's just say a woman of substance, if she's not like shaking uncontrollably and looking downward and meek in the presence of royalty, then apparently there's something wrong. There's something not right about her, and she's not showing the proper respect. You know, and in particular with a woman of color, I will never forget when Vanessa Williams won Miss America, the first time anyone of African descent has ever won that uh, pageant. And the one thing that people noticed is that she was not a ball of tears. She wasn't inconsolable. She didn't collapse because of the excitement and all of the joy of it. She was very dignified. She held her head up high. She walked that stage. She accepted her awards, and she, went on with her life. It wasn't the big deal that it was for past winners because she was just basically someone who was there for a college tuition. She only ever entered a pageant because she wanted to go to school and get an education. So the idea that a woman of color could have so much composure in circumstances like that or around people like the royals, I guess they find that disconcerting, or maybe there's just that bias and racism that seems to think, no, you need to cast your eyes down and not look directly at us. Just I don't know what they expect, but I don't think Meghan just showed enough deference for their taste, and maybe that's where some of the hostility came from. uh Oh, really? She said she wanted to give Megan a big hug, and she was invited to Frogmore and got her hug. Don't know when. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were still, well, maybe they weren't at Kensington. I know they did meet up at some point, and maybe that was one of the problems too, is that even though it was away from the cameras, the fact that you would have somebody like an Oprah or a Hillary that comes there and wants to meet with the Sussexes or meet with Meghan, away from the gaze of the courtiers or away from the cameras where they could somehow promote the institution, maybe that was an issue. Joyce Bow says the Grammy nominations have already been announced for this year. I think if Harry is nominated, it may be for next year. Yeah, I believe it would be for next year, not for this year. Let me see here. Okay, I'm looking here. Look. And Robin Rogers says, since they can't see her visually now, the articles want you to believe that they're talking to her friends. The desperation is psychological. It's truly time to let them go. Live to lead. Yeah, I can only say that they just need Meghan to make an appearance so that people will stop talking about the book. Even now, the momentum of the book is still very strong, and it has exposed so much. And I think because they don't have a good handle as to exactly who within a certain demographic is gravitating toward this book, but they've maybe they feel that because the polls have dipped for everyone across the board, that loss of numbers like that so close to the I was about to say the inauguration, the coronation, as well as the fact that the British economy is in trouble. The workforce in Britain is in trouble. People need wage increases desperately. And if they don't get these salary increases, the cost of living increases, people are going to start taking it out on the 1% and the royal family. Somehow, some way, it is going to reflect really bad on them when they're out there living with all this conspicuous wealth, and you have people that are struggling. If they had their wits about them, if they asked me my opinion, start with decent affordable housing and work your way from there. That will provide jobs, and of course it would lower some of the cost of rent. What people are paying for rent is outrageous, and it's almost impossible for young people to get a mortgage, to afford a mortgage to buy a place. This is like the first time since, the war that people are not thriving, they're just surviving. Only older people have the resources, and anyway, it's going to wreak havoc on everyone involved. So if they don't do something to turn this around, if they don't somehow manage to get control of the perception, if they don't, because the gaslighting is not working. Gaslighting doesn't work when someone's stomach is growling. Shay says all Prince Harry wanted was to voice out the side of their story as they continue to be bullied, harassed, and spread misinformation about them. But it's crazy how advanced these people think they correct. How advanced these people think they're correct. Shay, Harry only wanted to heal himself by telling his truth. And he also wanted to help his family, which, as he told Oprah, they're trapped too. They didn't like that when he said they're trapped too. It's so obvious. How long can a nation of people believe that they have control over children? That the whole country looks at the children almost like they're items and not people. And then the children grow up, and the trade off is you do what you have been doing, and don't you have an opinion? Don't you step outside of the formula? Because if you do, we're going to destroy you. And that's not just the media, that's the people. I mean, because they're buying the papers, they're co signing with the rhetoric. Obviously, they believe it because when they stop people on the street, you hear them parrot the talking points directly from the tabloid media. Now, the majority of people in Britain do not feel that way, I'm sure, but they know where to go and who to target to get the response that they want. Isn't it amazing how, when they say these things, if you ask a young person, They will talk to you about everything from the transatlantic slave trade to the unelected head of state. If you talk to an older person, they will tell you, well, at least they're doing their duty. Harry's not doing his duty. He walked out on the family. He turned his back on the queen. He blindsided the queen. Isn't it amazing how the older people all have the same thing to say and all the young people have a completely different thing to say? You just don't see that many young people that have built an argument around those tabloid talking points. Let me see. Madwell said it was said that he had invested in Victoria's Secret and he was behind the pink line that was marketed to the super young crowd. Uh oh, you're talking about the person that was friends with Andrew? Is that who you're talking about? Because I know that the guy that he it was something to do with that, and I know it has something to do with Victoria's Secret. That's the angle of it that I'm aware of. So if that's what you're speaking of, then yeah, I did hear about that. I know that's, but the thing is, how was he a math teacher one day, and then next thing you know, he's taken over the wealth of this other person? That is the one that I have not managed to figure out. He did not work for that money. That money was kind of given to him, or he took over a company or the operations of a company. It was all very weird how his wealth came about. And I have some conspiracy theories about that I can't share at this time. But I shudder to think where that money comes from or how he got control over that person's money. But it wasn't his money to start with. But all of a sudden, he started spending the money like it was his and throwing the money around like he went from math teacher to billionaire. It's not like he had any discernible skill that would have helped him get into that position. So yeah, that is a weird one, but I got some theories about him. And yeah, I don't want a black sedan sitting outside the house, so I'll just keep it to myself. M. Covington, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Monday to you. Dorothy Ross says in the future there will be no buying papers as there are so many other ways to get information. I saw James O'Brien shame for that poor man. Yeah, that guy on James O'Brien, I really felt for him. He was on there for a good while too, and he doesn't choose sides. He only wanted to do his job, and he was upset about the way that people have been mishandling the the government, and he spoke out about it on James O'Brien. And then I think after that, then he even wrote a letter to someone in the government. And anyway, the combination of those things, the next thing you know, he lost his job. Yeah, pretty courageous guy. And I love the fact that he said no regrets for myself, except for the fact that I did this, and it still didn't seem to, um, help the people, help the situation. So, but I tell you, in the Western world, there's a um, limited amount of decent, affordable housing, and I think they want that efficiency of having people work 2 and 3 jobs just to get a paycheck or paychecks that will sufficiently maintain um a household, or for instance, um there's a lot of people who have to live in someone's spare bedroom, or even live in a dorm like situation just to make money so that they can send money back home to their families, or it just defies logic. If people made a decent living wage, and they had an economist on the Novara Media today. This guy, he worked in the financial district in London, and he actually said that all of that money that the government printed during the pandemic went to the top tier earners. The one percenters are the ones who got most of that money, not the working class people. They didn't get that money. So, again, and Charles wants to have this big, elaborate coronation. Good luck with that. I'm telling you. Did you guys see France today? Did you guys see I think they said it was 1 million people that were protesting in Paris because they changed the age of retirement from 62 to 64. Did you guys see that? Was I dreaming, or did I actually see that? That there was 1 million people on the streets of Paris today because they tried to raise the retirement age. It's interesting that that never seems to make it over to London. It just goes to show that there is a greater level of gaslighting and propaganda that it just never gets so far out of hand. And I know they've had some big riots in London before, or in the UK before, but it just never seems to get as outrageous as that. But let's not assume that it won't ever get that way, because there's going to be a breaking point. And I know that they're going to try to button everything up by the time the coronation comes, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I really don't think they're going to be able to do it. They better do something fast before the coronation is here. Otherwise, it is going to be a disaster because people are fed up. Jacqueline Squash says, "Good evening, Baron and Squatty family. As we continue to pray for Harry and Meghan and Mom Doria, may we pray that the wall of these terrible tabloids that print negative words come tumbling down." Amen, 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 Jacqueline, our official chaplain of the Royal Sussex. Thank you so much for that prayer. Okay, so this story right here, I was scrolling Instagram recently and stopped at a flurry of negative comments on the account of a much beloved cook, Ina Garten. They weren't griping about a recipe, but that Garten had the audacity to excitedly share she was beside a crackling fire reading Spare by Prince Harry. Love you, Ina, but you need better reading material. Throw the book in the fire. Throw that book in the fire. Oh dear, Ina, I love you, but now I might have to unfollow you. Really? At the time, I also happened to be happily ensconced in Spare, and a mild gray day in Hoboken, I sat on the bench at the waterfront and listened on Audible, delighted, rapt, surprising, because I'm not a follower of the Royals, no love, but no hate, mostly just apathy. So let me show you this person that she's talking about. There's Ina right there. Ina is sitting with, yes, that is Stanley Tucci, one of the most attractive bald men in the world. Stanley Tucci, who's older than William, but looks so much more attractive with his head shaved than William ever has. And anyway, Stanley Tucci is just one of many celebrities who have spent time in the kitchen with Ina. Now, Ina, she's not political. She doesn't choose sides. She even posted that image of the Queen when the Queen passed away, saying that she was a great inspirational lady. but she's also very glad that Harry is telling his story. But we are forced to choose sides. So the Star Ledger, which is from New Jersey, says, "Bye bye, haters. Prince Harry's affair is too complex for you to understand. Perfect rainy Saturday on the sofa reading Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. Is good. What are you doing?" Okay? What are you doing? So that is Ina's post. And there's actually some comments behind Queen Elizabeth, but I covered them up because I didn't want people to go after the accounts that were mentioned in the comments. So I made sure I covered it up. And that's the precautions that we have to take, because otherwise, suddenly people's accounts are filled with so much hate and vitriol that then you start to regret it. So, but since Ina, is a blue check mark famous person, I decided to share the story, especially it was in the paper, so why not? Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for clicking on my channel. I haven't said that for a while, have I? Um, Sherry and Sade, thank you for clicking on my channel. Let's see. Cookies and Cream. Hey, Cookies and Cream, how are you? Okay, Miranda Rios say they would think that the Sussex squad is paid by Meghan for positive coverage. That's what the British media gets paid for by the British royal family. Just projection. Well, I'm sure it goes deeper than that because they're all part of a very exclusive club of people who have access to some otherwise unattainable situations. So if you want to have access to the royal family, to world leaders, and of course, eat at their tables and such, then you need to report favorably. Cat Harlem, 5 months membership. Congratulations and thank you very much for being a member of Royal Sussex for 5 months. Thank you. Thank you, Miranda Rios. 80s Forever says the firm and the British media are behind Thomas Sr. going to the coronation because they don't want Meghan to go. They want Tom to ambush Harry and Meghan via the press attention. Well, Tom has been very useful to the tabloids and the institution, and now he has gone radio silent for some reason. The last I heard from him is that he was very sad about the Queen's passing. He said he felt like he lost his own grandmother or relative or something like that. It was so crazy. And Fu says we must remember Michelle Obama middle of the road statement on the Harry and Meghan story. Remember, how could I ever forget? I was very disappointed. Well, I just hope the family gets along and, they're still family. Anybody who refers to the British royal family as a family is being a bit naive, I'll say, because it's not really a family. It's based on, a family, but is so different from the way anybody else in this world lives. It's like they are living a reality show and they're constantly on display and briefing against one another and plotting against one another in ways that you only see in that type of situation where, let's say, there's a monarchy or maybe a very large family business. Sometimes people plot against one another in those instances, but the level of contempt that they have for each other, like this whole thing when they print those articles about the Queen hasn't seen this person or that person. In her last years, the Queen wasn't seeing a lot of people, least of all the grandkids. The Queen doesn't have or didn't have a lot of maternal instinct. And from Harry's book, you can tell that most of the family was terrified of the Queen. The presence of the Queen was not an enjoyable place to be. When Meghan met the Queen the first time, Harry was, all nervous and terrified. But I don't think it was because of Meghan. I think that's just the reverence that he had for his grandmother, and the same with Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank. She, and then after she leaves, everybody has to mellow out with a drink. Everybody except for Meghan, who, this was, oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. I'd like to meet her. But for them, they're in the family and they're terrified. So what does that say about that being just a family? I mean, that is the kind of reaction that you would think a mafia don would get upon visiting the family. Not someone's sweet little old grandmother, but that's the way it was. I mean, aside from that, there was her son there going in her holding her purse, but you know, not a typical grandmother or great grandmother coming to visit. Okay, let me see. Joan Lawman says, "Hi, Baron. Prince Harry is trying to help save the Okavango Delta from drilling and fracking by asking people to sign a petition." Yeah, that's that huge nature reserve, and you have like all that wildlife that depends on. It's a delta, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah, you just said that it's a delta. But yeah, I saw the images of that when he went over there for the African parks that time. It was so beautiful. I mean, the way the sun glistens on the water and the tall grass and such, it's worth saving. And those oil companies, well, you've seen what they've done to the deltas in Nigeria. I mean, it looks like a wasteland. Well, it is a wasteland, but generations of families had been driven out. Homes were burned to the ground. The oil company won the day. An oil company that's on the corner in everybody's neighborhood won the day. God, that was terrible to look at. And then all those carcinogens going into the water. Who does that? And even worse, who allows someone to come into their own house to do that? Donna Black says the haters have come to realize that the Obamas are royalists because of what Michelle said on the Today Show, but Hillary had no problem speaking on Meghan's behalf. Yeah, I don't think Hillary would be considered a royalist. Hillary know all kind of people, and she had been on the world stage for a long time, so it's not too many people living, and quite a few dead that she hasn't met, and and she just Hillary don't care. There was I can understand with the Obamas they had that big connection, and the Queen and Philip. I'm just going to tell you guys, the Queen and Philip were big fans of the Obamas. The Queen loved Nelson Mandela. She loved Barack Obama, and when she loves hard. And queen or no queen, she can be a fan like anybody else. And I think that for a Nelson Mandela and a Barack Obama, or and even a Michelle Obama, to be in those positions, even to someone as unfazed as the Queen, you can't help but admire the way that they made their way to the very top of society like that. It is something to admire. And um, you know, I think that Hillary, she she just did not give the Queen that mutual connection like that. And therefore, I don't know that. And I followed Hillary for a long time. I just don't think that they ever bonded like that. But just like with the astronauts when they went to Buckingham Palace, the royal family was just, uh, fawning all over them. So they have their favorites too, and it's a mutual thing. And I think that Nelson Mandela, his connection to the Queen, I thought it was very sweet, but I don't think it's really done anything to help people as much as it could have. And in particular, I think that some of the things that happened in the Queen's lifetime, even though it wouldn't be likely that she would have ever apologized for any of that stuff, but the Queen reigned over, a genocide, over quite a few horrific things in British history and never apologized for it. There was no acknowledgement. She made friends with the politicians. She would end up visiting those countries again. And of course, maybe for her, that was her standard of an apology, or you just giving that acknowledgement to these people that otherwise the British government had suppressed or conquered or colonized. Maybe she thought that was her way of making amends. Now, I don't think most people agree with that, but I would imagine that the Queen thought that she did what needed to be done, and that, even for the Queen, given the way her life ended with the bee and the wasp and what was it, the fly buzzing around her all day, maybe that was her particular hell. Who knows what the end was like for her? I have my theories, and if there was anything that was so awful that she had ignored or whatever, and some people wouldn't be satisfied to know that it was terrible. They wouldn't think it was enough. I'm still evolving with the way I feel about the Queen, because leaving the Sussexes high and dry like that, if there was anything that could have been done and she just chose not to do it, I would be very disappointed to find that out. Thank you for your comment, Donna Black. Okay, question. I just saw a post on YouTube earlier stating that the British monarch commentator claimed they invited Harry and Meghan on the coronation, but will not be joining them on the balcony. Well, Shay, I saw that, and I don't think that there was ever a chance that the Sussexes were going on that balcony. It would be shocking to see them on the balcony. They weren't on the balcony for the Jubilee. They had no role to play for the Jubilee. And so, certainly, if that is the position that they had for that event, and of course, the mistreatment from the funeral, I just don't think that there was ever a place or a role for them at the coronation. And I hope it's not. Again, I don't want to see Meghan having to do a curtsy in front of the cameras or away from the cameras to anybody else in that family ever again. They got the curtsy with the Queen. I think that goes far enough. I think it would be bad for her brand. I think it would be bad for her brand. I mean, we're going to love her regardless, but we want to bring more people into the fold, and we certainly don't want anyone to be turned off by anything like that. So, but yeah, thank you for your comment. Okay. Let me see here. Oh, Church Nelly, you're being militant about something. I think I'm going to go past that one. It wasn't for me anyway. Church Nelly, you scare me. Sometimes I just look at some of your comments and it's just like I can hear a beer bottle smashing on the edge of the table. Come on. You know what I'm saying? I could just see Church Nellie smashing the beer bottle and taking her earrings off, kicking off her heels. Crash goes the bottle. What did you say? What- Okay, so Adrian Burrow says, I'm praying Harry and Meghan doesn't go. Let them deal with what they got. The Sussexes has a child's birthday to attend. Very true. Let me see here. Yeah, Michelle Obama has been neutral between the Sussexes and the mafia cult. That's why I have no more respect for either of the Obamas. Well, Donna Black, that you know, I've had my good days and bad days with them because at a time, this is what bothers me, and after they left the White House, and not just the Obamas, but I know a lot of people love Bernie Sanders. The most vocal person in the Democrat Party for quite some time has been Bernie Sanders. But after certain things, he just disappears. If he had gone cross country on a campaign, which I'm sure people would have gladly paid for, and really rallied against Trump with so many Trumpers that actually favored some of his positions, I think it would have made a difference. And the same with the Obamas. We're out here scared and desperate, and we can't find you. We needed someone to rally against. But I'm also going to say that look, they done their thing. They're out the White House. They need to rest like everybody else. They had 8 years of it. They need to go someplace and rest. But then it's also times when I'm like, God, did we need you? And here you got Trump destroying your record for saving the I'm about to say the economy, and you are just letting them do it. I was very frustrated by that. I was very frustrated by that. And also, the Clintons. As much as I love the Clintons and the Obamas, and I have a lot of respect for Bernie Sanders, I'm just like, we needed you all. We really, really needed you all. And And on the one hand, I'm just going to say, okay, that's the respect that you give a serving president, is that you stay out of their way and let them do their job. That's what usually happens. But we never had a president that would tell a crowd of people, a mob of people, to go to the Capitol, and I'm going to be there with you, and we're going to stop this certification of the election. Now, I just watched something the other day about Germany, about the Nazis, about Hitler marching to the war ministry with all of his people, marching through the streets of Munich to the war ministry, um, so that they could take control of the government, or at least influence the outcome or whatever. And I thought about that. I'm like, that's what Trump did. That's the exact same thing that Trump did. Trump really meant to go to Capitol Hill, but the Secret Service, I do believe that someone in the Secret Service would not take him. Now, if his fat behind would have walked there, then, and thank God he didn't, but if he could have gotten there by himself, Hitler actually walked. If Trump would have walked to the Capitol, there would have been, well, let me put it to you like this: we wouldn't have had a government at that point. if he could have just got to that Capitol. I do believe that he had the intention to go, and some very level-headed people stopped him. And the idea that people in the military had to watch other people in the military lets you know how close we came to having our government decapitated. And so, again, I say to the Obamas, to the Clintons, and to Big Mouth Bernie Sanders, we needed you. We needed you. And you all were being respectful for that time, which, and for Hillary Clinton, let me give her a pass because she had just been humiliated with that election. So I'm going to give her a pass. But for the rest of them, including Bill Clinton, you are a former president. And even that little weasel, Bush Jr., you are a former president. And you all just sat back and let this monster run roughshod over the United States. And not only with the January 6th, but even during the height of the pandemic, there's quite a few people that are not here anymore that would be if he would have just said, please wear your mask. But that became political. And so you have all these people who, in defiance of whatever, refuse to wear their mask. I'd have been on airplanes. I'd have been to a concert full of maskless people. Haven't got sick yet. Something about that mask was very effective. But you got people that will do that and 100 more things and don't think twice about it because of Trump. So, yeah, I have certain feelings about all of them. By and large, I have a great deal of respect for them. I admire them, but there was some periods where I felt very let down and disappointed. Okay, let's move on. So, this person, I don't want to read that out loud, but this person right here, I I tell you what, um, why don't you tell your friend, the one that you're trying to save, why don't you tell your friend to do another interview? Tell Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Please tell him to do another TV interview. I beg you, have him do another TV interview and let him give us some other revelation about a bodily function of his that doesn't work because of some type of trauma. I need that in my life right now. I need for him to sit in front of a television crew and just spill the beans. Please do that. Because the first train wreck was so interesting to watch, I am hungry for the next. I am so eager and so hungry for the next train wreck. That would make my day, actually. So, hey, Mo Shannon, Britain sadly was enticed into Brexit BS. Yeah, that was very unfortunate. And oh, the price people are paying right now. Oh, the price they're paying. Yes, golden carriage is on the way. Yep, the golden carriage is on the way. A new golden carriage. Let them eat cake. You can say that again. Okay. Let me get Mr. Peepers off of here. So there's Charles. King Charles III. I don't know why the Queen gave him the name Charles. It just seems like with the first Charles the First, and then Charles the Second, why would you give this man, this child, now an old man, why would you give him the title of Charles so that he might become Charles the Third? if you ask me, the first two didn't work out so well. I mean, the first one literally lost his head. And the second one, well, at least he knew not to flex too much. Okay. Oh well, I got so many comments that I'm missing here. I do apologize for that. Joanne Baker says, "Oh, that ain't for me. Uh, that ain't for me." Hey, Joseph Berno says, "Oh, that's not for me either." Okay, and Acelia E. Nelson says, "I've come to the conclusion that the economic system is designed to keep you just above poverty line." Yeah, that's why they call it the working poor. That's why they call it the working poor. And Maureen Reed, oh, that's not for me either. Okay. Uh, Connie Balmer, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Okay, I'm going to have to do a big, deep scroll here. Dorothy Ross, thank you for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Okay. All right, I'm going to go all the way to the last comment. Oh, got one more. Sasha Obama is dating a Brit aristocrat. I saw that guy. He looks kind of shifty, doesn't he? Malia's the younger one, right? Sasha's the older one. Yeah, looks a little shifty, I think. I don't know. I don't like him. Plus, I saw both of them smoking cigarettes one day, and I didn't care for that either. But I don't know. I hope that girl is okay. But it just goes to show the difference between this side of the Atlantic and the other. This side of the Atlantic, you don't you don't have the press going after the kids. You know what I mean? And I can tell you right now that I can only recall Trump ever daring to say anything about Michelle Obama, maybe on a couple of occasions. He just didn't mess with her. Um, but yeah, that's it's so different here compared to Britain when it comes to the news. And I know I don't need to tell any of you all that because we all know that that's true. But the model in which they report the news, it has become more tabloidy. They have Hollywood reports and stuff. I mean, I've seen them speak about Britney Spears on, ABC World News and um, all the other shows, but still, it's just a huge difference. It doesn't dominate the headlines like it does in Britain, and it's unfortunate that we have picked up so much of those tabloidy ways, but we're not completely lost yet. So I'm hoping for the best. But thank you so much for the super chat, Carrie Ann, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Monday to you. Uh oh, MOC, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. All right. Gosh, I'm scrolling and scrolling. What have I been talking about all this time? Okay, the very last is Mackenzie, and it's not for me, so that's cool. Miss P Talk says Sasha is going out with an African American young man, not British. Okay, so then it's okay, Sasha Malia. Which one? Not one of them is dating that the white guy with the receding hairline, right? Oh, wait a minute. She's with somebody new. Yes. Okay. Okay. She's not with that other guy anymore. Ugh. Anyway, I'm not keen on none of their boyfriends. I'm sorry, but I'm not that keen on any of them. Ugh. Okay, so Scots reject Union Jack on Scottish produce in favor of the saltire. Now, saltire is derived from a French word, but is in reference to the Scottish flag. which has the diagonal cross as opposed to the other, like you find on the Union Jack. The Scots prefer to see the Scottish saltire more than the Union Jack on Scottish produce. In a blow to the Union Jackery, which plagued Scottish production, denied the saltire in place of the flag of the United Kingdom, 71% of Scots said they preferred to see the St. Andrew's cross on food and drink from Scotland over the Union Jack. The National, that is the Scottish paper, by the way, has long reported on instances where the saltire has been snubbed on food and drink and packaging for the Union Jack, and the damage this can do to Scotland's reputation as a producer of quality grub. So apparently, whatever food is produced in Scotland that is going out to other countries do not have the Scottish flag. At least it wasn't seen with the Scottish flag, as well as the things that were consumed in Scotland. So they want to put a stop to that. This is just another step toward separating from the Union. That is going to happen. They don't want to stay part of that sinking ship. If Westminster wants to go down in flames, Scotland does not want to go with them. They want to go back to the European Union. Wales wants to go back to the Euro, at least the majority, over 50%, more like 50 to 56% here and there, depending on the poll. They want out of the union. Now, there's some people who will want to stay in for financial reasons or whatever. And yes, it's not the safest thing in the world to just leave and then go to the European Union. And we have to assume that they're welcomed in the European Union. But it is going to be like a period of transition that may go on as long as 10 years. So it's not without its problems. But you got like over 50% of the people who are willing to take their chances that want to leave the union. Our polls put yes on 54%, full results and analysis inside. That is one of the polls to leave the union and become an independent state, an independent Scotland for the first time in what, about 400 years? They want to be independent. And then, of course, the other one right there, yes, we do want back in the EU. That was from some time ago, but that is the intention, is to put them back into the EU. The EU was a very successful cooperation treaty, whatever, between all the nations of Europe that were involved in the EU, the European Union, and of course, Britain was one of the lone holdouts who did not want the euro, which turned out to be very smart because the pound sterling was constantly of higher value compared to the euro. And both of them actually became higher than the dollar thanks to George Bush and the unnecessary war. That 2008 really ruined things for us. However, that being said, it's still a good thing. So they would be better off. They would be able to trade and such much better. And also people in Scotland who would like to go and work in other countries or whatever could also do that easier if they're back in the European Union. So Charles has to decide which crown to wear. Mummy's old hat or the other crown. I'm thinking that he may feel that he needs Mummy's old hat by the time the coronation day comes, because he seems to be getting weaker by the moment. And especially once that golden carriage pull up, I'm telling you, he is going to be in trouble. So he might as well just put Mommy's hat on and maybe nobody will notice. If he walks around and do that little wave and just, say, Philip, Or perhaps if he does for his coronation speech, 1992 is a year that I shan't look back upon with undiluted pleasure. It was an angry horribus, an angry anus. He could always do that. But good luck, Charlie. He's living in his mother's shadow. He's got some big clunky heels to fill. He's got to wear those clunky shoes like his mom. And it's going to be pretty hopeless. You know, Charles is getting this honeymoon period. And I think that even with him dropping in the polls, he's doing a lot better than anybody could have expected him to have done thus far. So he's getting the ultimate free ride. But thanks to things like the spare, the economy, the golden carriage, all of those things are going to create a bit of hostility toward him. In these uncertain times, it's one thing to have a royal family, but it's also another thing when you have a government that has been corrupted by the likes of Boris Johnson and the rest of them. It's looking bad. It is really looking bad. Never was so much owed by so many to so few. The NHS, the very bedrock of a modern British society, and now it's in peril. And they are deliberately destroying it. Now, I have to tell you, the tabloids are not going down without a fight. The tabloids are doing enough to distract from these things, but it's just like with Trump and the pandemic. Some of your core constituents are dying. People who would vote for you are dying out, are in such a feeble state from having endured the pandemic that they won't be able to vote, or they gotten angry with you and they're going to vote for the other old fool. So there you have it. I think that with the impact of the NHS collapsing, amongst other things, the royal family cannot escape this forever. People are going to ask the question. Yes, I know Kate has the most beautiful hair extensions that I've ever seen. Yes, her hair is flowing. Those locks are unbelievable, but it's not putting food on the table and is not getting me the appointment that I need. So what can we do? What can we do? So with all those things, it's definitely going to take a toll on everyone involved. All right. So, and then of course, Your Majesty, there's another carriage that needs sorting and burying for good. So there's Charlie, still lamenting about his late mother, but you have the Caribbean, you have Australia, India, Africa. You got all of these skeletons of the past, the British colonial atrocities that that have not been atoned for. So even with what's happening domestically, that old magic, the old the old way of doing things, is that really going to make a difference in the future? How could we know? We'll see. We're going to watch this play out. And then, of course, you got things like the brooch. That was the start of Meghan meeting the family. And then, of course, the last big thing was them not saying anything about that Jeremy Clarkson person. The food banks, the people on the streets. It's not like it was post-war. These are modern times. And what else better celebrates modern days than a golden carriage? It's like nothing ever changed. They didn't speak out about any of this. These are the people, well, most of them have made life miserable for the Sussexes, in particular um, Princess Meghan. And then, of course, Susan Hussey, well, she's just a relic of the past, a reminder of a bygone era. But she'll be at the coronation. Hell, they might be at the coronation. I wouldn't be surprised. What if they're at the coronation? It's not beyond the realm of possibilities. Jason Knopf is going to be there. Okay, so right here it says, didn't read it, will not read it. Harry and Meghan, of little interest to Montecito neighbors. The world's fastest selling memoir is merely an episode in a soap opera in the Sussexes' adopted California hometown. Now, this was so ridiculous. I mean, this was so stupid. You got The Guardian, you know, I'm so disappointed with The Guardian, so disappointed. You would think that they would have better judgment, but no. The Guardian, they went to the dark side. Now, some people even warned me in the past. They said, Barry, the Guardian's not the paper that you think it is. Now, they definitely took advantage of the situation by starting it off with that. But then when you get into it, you'll see that it kind of takes a softer tone. But either way, the damage is done. Spare underwhelming performance in Montecito, a town of 10,000 mostly well-read residents, is not necessarily a rebuke of the royal couple. It conforms rather to the unspoken code of silence that the town maintains around its celebrity residents, who also include Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Gwyneth Paltrow, and the power couple Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom. Well, all of that is true. All of that is true. But the what is that? Telcolate bookshop? It's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of perspective. Take a look at this. It's not a town of some 10,000 people. It's actually a town of some 8,210, according to the last census. Not 10,000 people. That's why I put that in a box there. It's not a town of 10,000. It's less than 10,000. It's 8,000. It is also a sprawling valley filled with homes and shops and lots of very wealthy people. Look at this. Now, this is a map. That very green area that you see right there, that's Montecito. Montecito, little Montecito, is only 9.45 square miles. So a bookshop selling some 30 books, 30 biographies from Prince Harry, I don't get why that's such a big deal. Let me give you a street view. See that? It's almost like it's in the middle of it is. It's in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's not a very traditional shopping mall. It mostly looks like they converted some homes into shops. Well, I don't think that's the case. They are commercial shops. But what I'm saying is, it just doesn't look like a big commercial district. If you look at the amount of asphalt compared to green, you can see that it keeps a relatively low profile. I'm sure there's people who have lived in Montecito for years, don't even know there's a bookstore there, let alone ever been to it. Take a look at this. This is the street view. Now, this is one of those places back up in the cut. You wouldn't even know it was there. It's just a little shop. That little shop. They only ever order so many copies of a book. And of course, the person at the shop would say, well, it's just a book. I sell books, because they don't want to get caught up in that nonsense. So they just said very flatly, yeah, it's a book. I sell books. Because they were trying, of course, to catch the person out in some kind of way, or get the sound bite that they're looking for, whatever. They'll find something. But this is Montecito. You got the mountains to the east and the ocean to the west. A little small community. Look at there. There's the ocean. This is how the people live. And if they're like anybody else in America, guess how they probably got their copies of The Fresh Prince of Montecito? Most likely, they got it from Amazon. Like right here, even the Santa Barbarian, the local newspaper says they know Montecito is tiny, right? Like 4,000 homes, many of which aren't used year round. And there are other bookstores nearby. There are digital downloads and online ordering, always taking digs at Prince Harry. Now, this is a local newspaper. Make them look small. Why so obsessed? Even they want to know why they're so obsessed. And take a look at this. Amazon has 300 million active users. That's twice the entire population of Russia. 197 million people visit Amazon.com every month. 153 million Americans will be Amazon Prime members by the end of 2022. Amazon.com received 2.2 billion visits in February of 2022. Nearly 2/3 of Americans have bought something from Amazon. That's more than 90% of U.S. online shoppers. Amazon sales revenues will reach $730.5 billion by the fourth quarter of 2022. That's last October. Amazon owns more than 90% market share in 5 product categories. It's clear then Amazon has a colossal user base, meaning that a sprawling but yet very tiny town like Montecito that has other bookstores, that one store sold 30 copies. Again, if you look at the perspective of things, that's not really saying much. Huh? 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 Oh man, so desperate they are to do or say anything to try to disparage the most influential royal couple anywhere. Now, Prince and Princess of Wales have worked out how to navigate Charlotte's position as spare by raising ordinary children who have an understanding of being royal, expert claims. So they have been hearing the flack that has come from the spare about the spare. And because of that, they are a little sensitive. And of course, they have decided that they are going to try and defeat any critical comments before they actually happen. Because this is, I'm going to just say this, gaslighting. Gaslighting. They have already started with Louis. They're going to try to avoid damaging Charlotte. Charlotte is a girl in the Me Too era, and I just doubt that they're going to do that, especially when they got Louis. Louis is going to be the lightning rod. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be Louis that is the lightning rod. You don't have to worry about Charlotte. She's going to be okay. They're not going to let anything terrible happen to her. So, but for Louis, let's just pray for him. That is somebody's child. That is God's child, and he deserves the protection that all children deserve. So this right here, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that. It's not what they say or what they want, it's what the media allows. Okay? It's what the media allows. That's going to determine how those kids are raised. They are going to have to think, act, and conduct themselves with the consideration that the press is going to follow them for the rest of their lives. They will be mocked and humiliated accordingly if things are the way that they've always been. And I hope that's not the way. Okay, I told you the mail would airbrush our photos. Thank you, Lord Nappyhead, for the invisible contract. Well, let's see if that's what happened. No, I guess they don't always airbrush their photos. Hmm. Where's the airbrush? I guess, well, I guess there is no airbrush, at least not all the time. But yeah, that's the Fab Four. That's the new Fab Four. And don't forget those two. They're also part of the slim down monarchy. Hell, they might even get their dukedom. If they're good, they may even get their dukedom. And with that, you guys, guess what? I am done now that I have spoiled your dinner. I am done. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. And thank you, Mod Squad, for keeping this a safe space. I know, trigger warning, right? Also, thank you so much for the contributions. Let me see if I have a list for today. Do I have a list? I do not, but it's all good. I don't think I missed anybody, but thank you all so much. Also, let me see. I guess I'll be looking for a last word of the day. Marjorie says, sure, the Montecito community must be gated. So how did these people know on doors? I'm sorry, was it knock on doors to ask neighbors about Harry's book? Who the Guardian spoke to? Well, I'm sure that they probably caught people outside the coffee shops or whatever. They know better. Let me see. You have a spare giveaway? Black Queen. Let me see. I didn't give that much thought, actually. I kind of forgot about it already. But I'm not sure how to proceed with that. Do you have any ideas? Uh, As you can see, I've given it a lot of thought. I was thinking about doing like a question and answer, but that's not good. Was there anybody in particular that you wanted to bless with your spare? Anybody? Maybe we can do it like that. And then they can inbox me. Ed, does that work? I'm looking at the comments. Anybody who doesn't have a spare that we want to bless with one, or you want to bless with one, rather? Marilyn King? Oh, okay. So there we go. Lambert Charles. All right, Lambert Charles. I tell you what, you inbox me. Let me see. What is that email? Okay, you inbox me and we'll sort this out. We will sort this out. Let me make sure I give you the right email. Okay, this is going to be the first time I've done anything like this. This should be interesting. You know how loopy I am. Oh, man. What is that email? I know it's Royal Sussex Channel, right? Is it Royal Sussex Channel? What is my email? Wait. Don't tell me. I got this. Nobody help me. I got it. It's Royal Sussex. Lambert Charles, are you on the Twitter by any chance? Because I always check my Royal Sussex on Twitter. So that might be the best route to go. But let me see. I'll give you this email. The one I never check. But I will check. I will, I promise. Okay. Really? No, that's not it. Wow. Did somebody tell me off? Oh, okay. I thought somebody had told me off. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be good. Okay. All right, here comes the email. There we go. All right, so that's the email, royalsussexchannel@gmail.com, which is what I thought it was, but I wanted to double check. So yeah, just do that and we'll take it from there. That's a good question. Let me see. Yeah, Lambert Charles, are you in the US? That would be helpful. Let us know where you are. I mean, not your address, obviously, but you can put it on the email. How do I donate a book to the library? Well, your local library, I would imagine that you could call them maybe, or maybe they'll have like a policy listed on their website. Or you could just take a chance and mail it to them. Mail it to their address. Okay. So are we good with all that or not? Let me see here. But anyway, that's the email, and then we'll work it out from there. Oh, okay, that's helpful. That's helpful. Okay, that's a good place to start. Okay, then. All right, you guys, I'm going to be looking for a last word for the day. And Annie Bullard says, good night, all. Okay, that's it. That's the last word of the day. And I'm not going to stay on late today. I'm going to get to stepping, but thank you all so much for being here. And thank you to our queens, of course. And that is our queen of everything and our queen of hearts. Thank you both for those fantastic children. All right. And so with that, you guys, as always, love you guys, and I am going to ginger avenger myself out of here. Yeah, that's a good idea. See if they really want the book. That's why I say you could call them or check your local library and see if they have an email, or not an email, but a policy listed for donations. But I would imagine that the local library has a donation suggestion on their website. So that's the best place to start. Thank you, Mary H. Good night, all. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Ciao for now. Hello, Ivy here. Thank you for clicking on my channel. Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Lauren Brown. Woo! Hi, I'm Lauren Brown. Hello, Ivy here. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go see y'all. And don't y'all tell on me either. Don't tell them I've been sitting up here doing that. Hello, Ivy here. Okay, y'all, I'm fixing to go. Let me see, we're good. Let me see. Yes, Instagram is another good way to reach out. Good night, 80s forever. Uh-huh. All right, and you guys, please wear your mask. I know they say it's over with, but please wear your mask. Especially in the crowded situations and stuff. I mean, the closer you stick to the truth, the better. I know I'm still wearing mine. As a matter of fact, I forgot which squatty sent me a new box of masks, but thank you so much for that because I've been wearing them. Oh, thank you, Sunshine. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Okay. All right, you guys, I'm about to end broadcast. Oh, thank you so much. See ya. Live, love, and laugh. Live for another day. Sure enough. Okay, bye, y'all.